So today, this is starting in Rochester, Minnesota. That's still in Hiawathaland. And little story about this is I was scouring the internet and I was on eBay. And I saw this postcard of a train sitting out in front of a restaurant called the Depot House. And I started scouring the internet to see what I could find on it, and I just found bits and pieces all over the place. Nothing that I would call factual, because I like, first-hand information. Once it goes through 2 or 3 people, it's like, well, I don't know, and then somebody says, well, I thought it was. And so I am at the Olmsted History Center in Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm going to see what I can find in there, and I'll share that along with the postcard and the history of that locomotive. So this is the Depot House. This is the postcard I saw online on eBay, and I thought, I got to have this. That was my first thought. I gotta have this. So I'm looking, the Depot House. It's in Rochester, Minnesota. Holy cow, I got to go to this restaurant. This is going to be so cool. But you know what? I'm about 30 years too late. Yeah, it's closed. But you know what? It's still cool. Look at this. Look at this locomotive against the restaurant in the background. And this building is the Chicago North Western Depot. And it was remodeled into that restaurant. And then you can see the locomotive there, and you can see the railroad tracks. So that tells me where this was located against the railroad tracks. So I started doing some searches. I mean, this is just so cool. Look at the dining rooms and the locomotive. That's a Chicago North Western locomotive? Or is it? Yeah, so I did some searches on that. So I'll stop periodically and I'll show you some more of what I found. Well, like usual, I have to carry things further. That's right. I had to find out as much as I could about the restaurant. You know, there were 3 fellows that formed a corporation to start that restaurant. And they must have all 3 been railroad buffs. I mean, can you imagine the amount of money it took to change that depot into a restaurant and buy that engine and have it restored? So this is the restaurant menu. Yeah, that's right. I was on eBay again. So I just wanted to share this with you because they owned several restaurants. They didn't just own that one. There were several kinds of restaurants throughout the Twin Cities area that they owned. And this is the one from the Depot House. And I'll try to open it up so that you can see it. That's the first page as you open it up. Isn't that cool? Depot House, they've got some of their specialties on there. On this side there's a wine list. White table wines, red table wines, a taste code. VD is very dry, D is dry. I think that's so cool. And I don't care if it's taped together or not. You see the railroad there's their engine along the bottom. Let me see if I can pan out. There you go. See the railroad engine on the bottom? I just think this is so cool. Yeah. Let me see if I can open it up again to the next page. And here we've got a la cartes and selective dinners over here. Let's see. Here's a lobster for $4.95. Here's some prime rib, $4.95. Here's some crab for $4.50. Check out those prices, huh? Isn't that cool? Makes you want to go back into time, don't it? Here's another page. Now this one here gives you the history. Lets you know when the depot house dates back to the 1890s. Built for $13,000 by the Chicago North Western Railroad. Isn't that cool? That's cool history. And here's some photos, and I'll show you some more of these, of the depot house. And I'll explain the photos when I show them to you. That's just so cool. I just love this history. And that's the end of the menu. That's it. So now you can say you've seen the depot house menu. I just love it. Okay, so these are the two photos that are relevant to the depot house restaurant itself. And this is the depot. These are the two train cars. And what they did was they attached these two train cars to the depot. And they became like bar cars, so you could sit in the car. I think one of them was restaurant related. The other one was like a bar where you could sit in it and have some drinks. And that was part of the restaurant. You could get into those cars from inside the restaurant. And this one here reflects the depot in 1908. There's your railroad tracks, okay? So when they mounted their engine and their cars, that was right about here, facing the railroad tracks. That's where we're at, right there. That's so cool, isn't it? Now you know someone's interested with history by what they're reflecting, you know? The time it took for them to dig this history. Here's a picture of a train. This goes back to 1925 to 1930. This was called the Redbird, painted bright red and gold. Was a crack train from Minneapolis to Rochester. So he's got that in there. I mean, it's so cool. It's reflections of the railroad and Rochester in another time that he was trying to bring to life. So I've walked down the fence line a bit, hugging the fence line. I know there's railroad property in here, and I'm trying to stay off of the railroad property. And I do see something over there, so must be a little bit of leeway here. Anyway, feel pretty safe standing here. And I'm going to put up two maps now. One map will be kind of showing you where things are today, and another one will be a plat map from 1920. And shows you the depot where it was then. And now I'm going to take the camera and show you where we're at. So where I'm at is, this is First Avenue here. This is Civic Center Drive. It's actually Highway 14. Coming down this way, over here at this end is Broadway Avenue. Where we're standing, there would have been a lot of tracks here. There was a small rail yard here. Back in that other direction, way back out there would have been coal yards, coal bins and everything else when we get way back. But we're going to concentrate in this area. From this stoplight, I'm going to swing around to this stoplight. Okay, this road wasn't here then. It never went through. So don't even think about the highway. In fact, right now, all those vehicles are driving through the depot. That's where the Chicago North Western Depot was. That's where the depot house was. And there were, two sides to the depot. This side, I believe, is where they had their train. I'm not positive. And the other side, of course, was a parking lot. And when I look in the pictures, I do kind of see a track in the photo, and then I see another small section of track that the engine's on, and I see the depot, and then I think it's that building in the background that I see. But here's a picture of the depot. I'll put up a couple of them. I'm across the street, and we'll look at it from this side. So right now we are looking at the depot. So this video winds up actually about three things. We're talking about the Chicago North Western Depot that turned into the Depot House Supper Club. And then we're talking about the Sioux locomotive number 346 that wound up being a Chicago North Western Wannabe, because it wound up numbered that. But where's the loco now? It's in Tracy, Minnesota. So you want to go see it or not? I don't know, it's probably about a 4-hour drive. Let's go. Hop in my truck. We'll drive out to Tracy and see that loco. Well, we made it to Wheels on the Prairie. We're in Tracy, Minnesota, and guess what's behind me? That's right, the Sioux 346. It's the Chicago North Western number 9 Wannabe. Yeah, this is the engine. That's the locomotive that was sitting out by the depot house in Rochester, Minnesota for maybe 15 or 20 years, and then made its way here. It's cool, isn't it? I'll give you a close-up. So that wide bell stack and this cow catcher is what was added to this locomotive, and the number 9 when it was being prepared to go to the Rochester Depot House. Otherwise, it wouldn't have had that bell chimney. And I'm going to show you some pictures right now of what it looked like pretty much when it was new, and when it was hauling coal, when it was sitting at the depot house, and now here we see it live and in person. Now here's a photo of that engine not too long after it was built. You can see it looks like shiny new condition. And this is the Sioux 346. So here's another photograph of the Sioux 346, and this is after it was done with its coal running days. You can see the short stack. I mean, it's a thin stack, and there's no cow catcher on this locomotive at all. And this is the locomotive that wound up at the restaurant. Rochester. Those cars wound up being attached to the building. One of them was a bar car and the other one was you could sit in it and eat. So from the outside it looked like a train, but the cars were attached to the building and they're not the cars you see here. Well, this is where this video ends. I hope you liked the story of the depot house of the Sioux 346 that wanted to be the Chicago North Western number 9. Yeah, I thought that was a cool story. I loved the whole story. It's all history. I loved every minute of it. I hope you did too. God bless you. I'll see you on my next one. Gotta play with it.